Hey, you guys. I want to talk briefly, real quick, about demons and Jesus. This is because of a comment that was made on one of my social media accounts in response to the last series of videos I recorded about demonic attacks from, going about life, watching things, all that stuff. Check a few posts back and you'll see it. And the comment that was made was a reflection on society, cultural, and religious conditioning that, we have here in this world. But I have learned a substantial amount about spiritual warfare and the way so many things work because of my own spiritual war that I defeated myself over 3 to 3.5 years. And so I want to discuss it a little bit more in depth. I want to give you guys like an overall understanding of some of it. And I also want to share some personal stuff just so that you understand, kind of my connections a little bit more and like how I know some of these things or what I've learned. So first of all, the comment that was made, it was about like, all you need to do is call on Jesus and to get rid of demons. And so honestly, my usual reaction to that is that's not good enough, frankly. There's multiple things, ways that I would normally react to that, but it's not good enough because while, yes, you can pray to Jesus and Archangel Michael and get rid of the demons, it's only temporary. And that's just not good enough for me. Like, I had to defeat, in my own personal spiritual warfare case, I had to defeat approximately 11 demons. That's a give or take, because the last attack, I don't know the exact number. So we'll say between 10 and 15. And then after that, in the time since then, I have participated in soul group attacks and defeated another, I think I counted up to around 20. So I have some experience in the defeating of demons part. And yeah, that just praying them away temporarily is not good enough for me. I don't want them attacking anybody else again, and I don't want them coming back to attack me again. And from my experience, when it's a targeted attack, they will be back. They're not going anywhere, and not for very long either. They can come back almost immediately. So yes, you can pray them away. It won't take very long for them to be back and to continue to attack you. I felt like I can't talk for a second. Anyway, so yeah, for me, the only thing that's acceptable is permanently destroying or removing them. I have learned, as I said in the previous videos, that when you're destroying them, what you're really doing is, or the practitioner is, returning them back to source, and their energy is getting reabsorbed into source energy, and they still exist, but they will become something else. They are no longer demons here on earth attacking people. And in that aspect, they are destroyed. But they're transmuted to the light, transformed into love and divine source energy, and they will serve a different purpose somewhere else at some other point in time, if time is even the right word. If they are simply removed, which depends on the practitioner, they are probably contained into a tabernacle or some other type of vessel that is made out of a strong enough material that they cannot escape, which is usually gold, and they are stored in that permanently. The Vatican does have a place that stores demons in tabernacles permanently. So the majority of practitioners are either going to be removing them by containing them into tabernacles, or using energy, which I actually can't even explain how, energy healing to transmute them back into the light, back into source energy. And those are the only acceptable options to me, because I am not going to allow them to return to attack me more or to attack anybody else. But that being said, while simply praying them away and it is not good enough to me, and I insist on these other methods, I still call in Jesus. Like the person who made the comment acted like I'm not working with Jesus. Trust me, I am. Like, that's the only person I'm working with. I mean, that's not true either, actually. I work with multiple ascended masters and angels, but the primary person I work with is Jesus. You know, if I'm going through an attack, the first person I'm calling in, or I shouldn't say person, that's not the right word, but the first being I'm calling in is Jesus and Archangel Michael. And I call them in for protection constantly. And Jesus is the primary spiritual being who I speak to and converse with regularly. And every time I do anything, I always call in Jesus and Archangel Michael for protection, among others. So when, at least for myself, and I do believe with most practitioners of the light, although it doesn't have to be exclusive, we're calling in Jesus. We're just doing more than simply praying them away. And yes, it is possible to destroy demons for good because I've done it. There's a lot that people don't understand about how spiritual warfare works because religion is not teaching you everything. And religion is also making you fear things that are not necessarily, that don't need to be feared. It's just simply a matter of who is the one doing it and using it. Like, what are their intentions? Somebody who is of the light, who's on the side of the good, who is helping God and Jesus and all that, like, power is fine in their hands. It's it's in the hands of evil that you have something to worry about. And that applies across the board. There's good and bad and everywhere. Just because someone has spiritual power doesn't make them automatically evil. And there are many, many light workers and spiritual practitioners who are good, who are helping to defeat evil in the world. So let's not, throw everybody out with the bathwater. But anyway, so hold on. Sorry, I have multiple points I'm trying to remember, so I had to pause and think for a second. But as far as demons go, there's multiple methods of dealing with them temporarily or permanently. And the Vatican has facilities for demon storage, as well as a whole division that does exorcisms. And the exorcisms are probably doing both, sometimes, essentially praying them away, and then other times sending them back to whatever hell type of realm they're from. There is not a hell that exists in the way that religion teaches it, but there are hell worlds. So probably they're being sent back to the eighth sphere is the most likely, but it could be any hell type of world or realm. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave the demons there now. And also, like I have said, I just wanted to also clarify that I work directly with Jesus and Archangel Michael and many other archangels and ascended masters. And that is who I am personally calling in when I'm doing any of this work, or the practitioners that I work with. Maybe there's some confusion because I use the term Yeshua also. But there's reasons for that, which I'm going to get into in a second. I'm going to end up going into a second video. I'll explain it more there. But, Yeshua is his real name. Jesus is not his birth name. And so if I say Yeshua, I'm still referring to Jesus. But that is who I exclusively work with and call in for protection and assistance. And even though I know that I have spiritual gifts and abilities, however powerful I may or may not be, to me, my power comes primarily from working with him and the ascended masters and the angels and their assistants. I'm not so much an ego that I think that I'm doing this all myself. It is 100% with Jesus's help, with the angels' help, and anybody else. So anyway, to be continued in a second. Okay, so let me explain better now Jesus' name. I was running out of time and I didn't want to get caught up in a thought process. Like I said, Jesus's real name is not Jesus. I believe it was Yeshua, but I know that that is the primary name that he goes by. And I used to use Jesus anyway because of growing up Christian, but I changed that. So let there not be any confusion, hopefully. I'm sure there still will be sometimes. But if I'm referring to Yeshua, I am referring to Jesus. The reason why I switched to using Yeshua is because I found out that there is also a collective of angels that go by the name Jesus. And I found out that sometimes when I call in Jesus and use the name Jesus for a spirit chat or something, I'm getting the angel collective either instead of or in addition to Jesus Christ. And first of all, actually, I want to step back and say, I started off speaking to angels. Once I got brave enough and got past feeling unworthy, I started speaking directly to Jesus because I felt that speaking directly to Jesus is the safest as far as protecting from demonic interference, and the most accurate because he's the closest to God, in my opinion. Having been raised Christian, I consider myself a Christian mystic now. There are many other ascended masters too, and they're likely all on the even playing field. Although, I'm not there. I don't know exactly how it works, but I feel like they're all pretty equal. It's because of my upbringing and beliefs that I consider Jesus the closest to creator, God, source, however you want to think of it. So that is why I go directly to him. Now, like I said, I found out that by using the name Jesus, I'm getting this collective of angels, either also or instead of, and I don't want that. If I want to talk to Jesus Christ, died on the cross, didn't actually die, but the illusion of dying on the cross, that's another story. We'll come back to it another time. I want to talk to him. I don't want to talk to the collective of angels, even though I don't dislike them. Actually, I know that they're part of my spirit team too now. But yeah, I want to talk to him. So I switched to starting to use the name Yeshua instead. I usually say Ascended Master Yeshua of the 12th dimension, only of the highest light and for our highest best, to ensure that I am speaking to the exactly correct one. There's also an evil Ascended Master who tries to trick people and pretends to be Yeshua. Another reason why I say it exactly how I just said. In the 12th dimension, only of the highest light and for our highest best. So that is why I say Yeshua, to make sure I'm getting the right spiritual being. And the angel collective, I did discover that they are closely connected. I mean, they're with a lot of people, and I'm sure they help anybody who calls them in. Probably lots of people who ask for Jesus. Just saying. But I did find out, specific to me and my Twin Flame Soul group, that they are part of my Twin Flame Soul group. So I channeled back in September, October about Twin Flame Soul groups, and part of the way I learned about them was from having a conversation with these angels, because when I had a conversation with them to learn about them, and understand, why they come when I say Jesus, although that part doesn't matter. So, the reason why they come when I say Jesus is because they studied under Yeshua and learned from him, and their beliefs and their teachings are most closely aligned with his, which is also why they go by the name Jesus. But anyway, so when I talked to them, they told me that they're my twin flame. And it's funny because my friend was like, I'm confused. And I said, I'm going to guess, and then I did clarify with them that they are part of my Twin Flame Soul group. And that actually, sorry, I'm like super itchy and I keep burping and I feel like I can't stop. Anyway, ignore it. Okay, so if you have seen my videos on the Twin Flame Soul group, I have learned that there are 12 soul ascension cycles in the Twin Flame Mastery program. And each soul ascension cycle, the soul splits again. And the number just keeps doubling and doubling and doubling, almost exponentially, but not exponentially. I am in my 11th soul ascension cycle. Like, this incarnation of me is in the 11th soul ascension cycle. So has already split 11 times. When I was in my 1st through 5th or 6th soul ascension cycles, the Jesus collective of angels were not angels yet. They were still human, or I don't know if human is the right word, but the equivalent. They were still like incarnated on a 3D planet along with me and other Twin Flame Soul Group members. And actually it was on Arcturus. We were incarnated as the humans of Arcturus during those soul ascension cycles. And we also worked closely and studied under Jesus, but that's not what he was called then. But it was the same soul. It was his soul, Ascended Master, Jesus, on Arcturus. We assisted him in his similar paths on Arcturus, and I was close with those beings, the collective of angels named Jesus, when they were also like human, essentially, on Arcturus, when we were all there together. We helped Arcturus ascend, and after that we left Arcturus and moved on to other worlds, one of them being Earth. Actually, that reminds me that they refer to them as Arcturian angels, but not because they're Arcturian galactic beings, because they lived on Arcturus at the same time as me. And they simply completed their Twin Flame Mastery program sooner because they were further along than my soul was. So they completed the Twin Flame Mastery program sooner, and they became angels instead of becoming ascended masters, and now they are a collective of angels. And that is how I learned about them and learned more about the Twin Flame Mastery program and my connection to them. That is also why I use the name Yeshua instead of the name Jesus. So do not get confused that just because I use the name Yeshua, it does not mean that I'm not working with Jesus, calling in Jesus, all that stuff. So yeah. Okay, so I think I covered most everything. In the first video, we covered how demons are handled in the spiritual warfare world by praying them away, destruction, or containment. I've covered the names of Jesus, and that's who I work with, even if I say the name Yeshua. The angel collective named Jesus. And I think the main other thing I want to say real quick, I want to squeeze it in here, is what I'm referring to when I talk about spirit. I just use the term spirit because it's easiest, but there are many different types of spirits. And in fact, some of the spirits that would be included when you lump some spirits are not actually spirits. So, oh my gosh, my nose will not stop itching. What the heck? Anyway, so galactic beings or aliens, would be lumped in with spirits, but really they're not spirits. They are simply incarnated beings just like us, but that live in other worlds, so they vibrate at different frequencies and they're just invisible to us. But we're calling them spirit because we can't see them. But we're lumping those into spirit. God, ascended masters like Jesus, Buddha, and others. Angels. Dude, there's freaking a gazillion different types of elemental spirits. So I just use the terminology of spirit because it's the easiest. But there's many, many different spirits. Everybody needs to pay attention to who they are trying to talk to when they talk to spirit. I am personally always speaking to Jesus Christ, Ascended Master Yeshua, and potentially some other ascended masters or angels as well. But just keep that in mind also. Okay. I think I covered all the important points that I wanted to. Gave you a little bit of insight into me also, or my soul's history and my soul group. And I'm about 15 seconds away from running out of time. So I think I'm just going to stop it there. But let me know if you have any questions. I hope this clarifies everything, and I hope you guys understand better what I mean when I talk about how I deal with demons. I'll talk to you guys later. Hey, you guys. I woke up and I realized that I wanted to clarify a teeny bit more with the demons and religious involvement, really. Just because last night when I was recording, I was trying to remember a bunch of points, and I woke up realizing that certain things didn't make sense. So I brought up about, the Vatican having containment areas for, or storage areas, I should say, for contained demons and their exorcism division and all that stuff to help, people understand that the Vatican and religion is involved in this also. Okay, but there are many different methods. Maybe not many. I'm not sure how many. But there are different methods of handling the demons. And I know that I said, praying them away, which is temporary, containing them in a tabernacle and destroying them, returning their energy back to source, transmuting it to the light so that they're no longer exist on the earth plane in the same way. And then I realized that exorcisms don't explain any of that. So let me explain that a little better. Basically, and also let me add, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I have knowledge about this, but because of my spiritual warfare journey, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I would consider myself like a novice. So, praying them away is just the basic for what anybody can do who isn't capable of doing more. And like I said before, they will keep coming back. I did in my previous videos, I was talking about when they come to you randomly from watching a show or something, but that's random. There are also targeted attacks. You could have a targeted attack from a person who is sending them to you, which can be two different reasons. Like, one could be that they're trying to get rid of you, and the other could be that they're trying to control you, and that they're trying to be able to control, basically your life. So me as a twin flame coach and healer, I have seen karmic partners try to use demons to control the divine masculines and keep them with them. It can be taking ownership of their soul, they attach a demon to them and they're going to use that to control their decisions and their behaviors and stuff like that. It doesn't change how they feel inside their heart, but it is a form of brainwashing and mind control, essentially. I have also seen them send demonic attacks to the divine feminines to try to stop them from, saving their divine masculines. And because the karmics want to win, they want to basically own the divine masculines and keep them stuck with them. Obviously, that's a lot of that was part of my spiritual warfare journey, and I've seen it with many clients that I've helped, because 50% of twin flames have spiritual warfare, and I have seen all of these things. Ironically enough, in my case, even though she tried to use demons, she wasn't knowledgeable enough or didn't have the right help. She'd always mess it up. And so that worked to my advantage. But the demonic attacks in my case were not because of her as much. She did try to use one to control him. She tried to cast, or she was trying to figure out a way to cast a demon on him to control him, and she didn't do it successfully. And me and the team that I worked with prevented that from happening, as well as cleared him of the massive amounts of spells that she had done. Just massive. No, the demonic attacks in my case were not, for the most part, were not because of her. I did have to deal with some ghosts that she summoned. That was another story. But ghosts are kind of easy peasy lemon squeezy. Ghosts are level 1. I can clear ghosts myself. No, the demonic attacks in my case were because of my twin and I had a lifetime that we were bad, and we did some stuff that we shouldn't have done, and we ended up angering the Satan of Planet X, which is a long story because we have a personal connection to him as well. and he put a hex on us that was causing constant demonic attacks. My twin had a demon on him from birth, and which is ironic because if the karmic had known that, she could have used that to her advantage, but she didn't know that. That was the first demon I got rid of. And then it was just one demonic attack after another. Some of them were actually because of her, but not because she summoned them, because she also did fucked up shit that brought demons to her too. And I would have to get rid of them when that happened because she was honestly just like stupid. Like she functions as if like she can do whatever she wants without any consequences. And she did that spiritually, and that's not how it works. Like, you do have consequences. You do get karma and stuff. So, like, she caused demons to come to punish her for the things that she was doing because she was that bad. And I had to deal with it to protect my twin flame and his daughter and then kids, which that's a whole nother story because that also has to do with things that she did that she shouldn't have done. But anyway. So yes, the demonic attacks that we had, that I had to defeat, were targeted, but because of a hex that was on us. And so that's what I meant when I was talking about how you can't just pray them away. Like, you know, if it was a random attack, perhaps you could pray it away and it won't come back unless like you really pissed it off or something. And I actually think from those shows, primarily it's going to be ghosts anyway. And that's also different because ghosts do not function in the same way as demons do. Demons still have rules. They still have rules that they have to abide by, both from the spiritual realm and from the side of evil and from the side of God. You know, rules that are put in place that like they have to follow. And they have a code, so to speak. Ghosts don't. They just do whatever the fuck they want. Ghosts are souls that are not at rest, who are stuck on the earth plane in between being alive and not alive. Or not, actually, I didn't say that right. In between being alive and being crossed over to whatever dimension that they're supposed to be in. Whatever. Actually, I've asked this. Heaven, as what we have been taught, is the 10th or 11th dimension. I have to go back to my notes. But anyway, so they're not, you know, crossed over to where they're supposed to be, but they're not alive anymore and they're not at rest because of how they died. And so they're stuck here. So they pretty much just do whatever they want and they don't have respect. They don't, actually, I shouldn't say that categorically across the board. It probably depends on who it is. Like if it's a soul that just died a tragic death and they're not at peace, they probably do. They probably are a little bit more respectful because they're not trying to like scare people and whatnot. But then the ones that were bad when they were alive, they don't care. Anyway, my point is simply that ghosts kind of do whatever. And they are easier to deal with because you just have to cross them over. But demons do have rules that they have to abide by. They do have a code. They do have soul contracts. I mean, I'm not sure. Actually, no, yes, I'm pretty sure that they have contracts themselves, plus they have to go by the contracts that people have, that souls have when they're incarnated here. So the demons are like kind of following instructions, so to speak. And they're, you know, you can get, and that's a whole nother tangent that I could go down as far as how soul contracts work and the divine plan and how it all plays out and spiritual warfare and the way spiritual warfare is part of our, you know, soul paths. That's part of our soul contracts, and it's destined. You're going through it for a reason. You're clearing out stuff from past lives. You're like, I had to clear the past life and heal it, that where we were bad and we did bad things, and in order to remove that hex. And that's how I stopped the demonic attacks on us. Ultimately, I defeated a bunch of demons in the process, and then I cleared that demonic hex that was on us. And that's when my case closed, and there was no more demonic attacks after that. And I have not had a personal attack since then, aside from the very last thing that the karmic tried to do because she was mad because I foiled the last plan that she had. And then she couldn't do anything else after that. I literally took away her spiritual power and abilities to do anything. And that practitioner saw that they should not try to do anything to me or us because I don't really know how else to say this besides we're more powerful. I'm not trying to be vain, but it's just the truth. Anyway, I'm going to run out of time, so to be continued. I think I will actually clarify that last statement just to explain what happened. So that practitioner that she hired, like I said, was the very last thing she tried to do. And I actually think Spirit allowed her to do it because since my case closed and the demonic attacks stopped, Spirit gave us instructions for how to deal with the karmic after that. This is going to sound crazy. Okay. And I didn't know I was going to talk about all this, but it's inevitable that I would use my own story as examples while recording these. So I was just saying at the end, towards the end of that last video, how spiritual warfare is part of our soul path. And our soul contracts. It's integrated into our journeys, and we're supposed to go through it essentially when we do, because we're clearing out past lives. We're clearing out things from our soul history that need to be healed and released and cleared for our soul mastery and moving into the next steps of our soul progression. So what I ended up discovering was that when that hex and what happened at Lifetime was a huge factor in revealing to me that so much of what we went through with our spiritual warfare journey, so much of what I defeated and handled both with the karmic and with the demonic attacks was because of events that had occurred in past lives for us, primarily, that had just kind of created the trajectory of everything that happens. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it, but the main thing would be that hex was causing the demonic attacks constantly, just like one after the other. But there's more to it than that, and I'm trying to not get into all the nitty-gritty details, especially since my twin doesn't know all of them, and I will tell him when the time is right, when he can handle it. But just suffice it to say that what I had learned over the course of that was that it wasn't random. It wasn't like, why am I getting attacked again? It was every single thing that happens that I had to deal with was happening for a reason, connected to me or him or the karmic, from connected to past lives, connected to things that had happened that needed to be cleared out or fixed. So it all served a purpose. And then also part of that purpose and part of the reason for the spiritual war battles with her was for teaching me and causing me to become a spiritual warrior and to help fight for the light and all that stuff like I do now and help clients do, because I was meant to help clients, after, defeating my own spiritual war. And so, like, before that, I was just like a naive, I was just a naive Christian who didn't know much about although I had already expanded my views to world religions, but I didn't really know much about the spiritual warfare world and all that stuff. I wouldn't say I didn't believe in it, but I didn't know much about it. So I was supposed to go through all of that and to learn all of this and to help clients and to do this work, and it's part of my life purpose path. So fine. But anyway, so I was trying to remember what the heck I was talking about in the first place. Going back to my original point, the last thing that had happened, she was mad that I foiled her last plan, and like I said, I believe Spirit allowed her to be able to do this so that when we did the work, we took away her ability to do more. And not only that, I can't even tell you how, but my practitioners who helped protect us all along was shown a way to make her less evil, and I don't know how that was. I have some theories about it. I have learned that many people have reptilians in their spiritual DNA because of how humanity's genome was created back thousands of years ago. Maybe the reptilian was removed from her spiritual DNA, and that's how. But in any case, what I was told was simply that Spirit showed how to make her less evil, and ever since then, she stopped trying to attack us spiritually. Like, I don't think has done one thing since then. So fine. So I believe that that's why Spirit allowed it, and the practitioner that we worked, the that she worked with was shown, did try and send demons after us, but was shown that they could not be defeated and it would be foolish to continue to try to. And she ended up recalling the demons and sending them back. One was left behind that we dealt with, which that's actually kind of a funny story. I should learn from me. Don't make fun of a demon until it's completely gone. I made the mistake of making fun of him. He wasn't completely destroyed yet. So he opened a portal to bring more demons to me, like a little last fuck you. Had to deal with that too. Lesson learned. Don't make fun of a demon until it's completely gone. Anyway, so, like I said, the practitioner was shown, however that means, because, we're talking about what Spirit said that they did as well as what the practitioners did. But the practitioner was shown not to try to battle us, and she told the karmic, this can't be done. I'm returning the demons to where they came from, and we're not moving forward. And like I said, we were also shown how to make the karmic a little less evil. Actually, there was more that happened. They did do something to my twin. The practitioner astral, you know what, I'm asking myself, I'm talking about all this stuff and I'm asking myself, why am I talking about all of this? This is not what I came on here to record, but maybe Spirit wants me to share it so that you guys know things that can happen. Anyway, I'm gonna just finish this story. So the practitioner had astral traveled to several past lives. The practitioner had astral traveled to several years in my twin's childhood, as well as several past lives, to put spells on him then, before I had protections in place in this lifetime. Because the practitioner realized that this is the dark practitioner that was helping the karmic. They realized that the only way to get around my protections, because I have that significant protections, permanent as well, that include physical protections too. But the practitioner realized that the only way to get around my protections was to go to his childhood and go to past lives. And the reason why the practitioner did it in those ways was to try to prevent us from being able to undo it. Because by picking random past lives to go to as well, made it like a treasure hunt, like trying to find a needle in a haystack to figure out where the spells were cast in order to remove these spells from him. And those spells were giving the karmic back control over him again. But they don't know who I work with, which is some of the most powerful people on the planet, I would guess. The people that I work with are literally protecting the planet. Like, some of the work that they do is literally protecting the planet. There was a massive divine masculine attack in October because of some ignorant divine feminines who summoned, I can only assume by accident, they thought they were summoning good spirits, but instead they summoned demons. They opened a portal to the 8th sphere, which is a hell realm, and brought demons here that killed their own divine masculines and started attacking others. And I work with the people who fixed that and saved the world, and they do things like that. There are legit spiritual warriors saving the world, and I know some of them and I work with some of them. So and I'm not at their level, but I know them. So, and they have helped me in my case. So yeah, this practitioner didn't know what she was dealing with, and my people did find every needle in the haystack, find every spell in every lifetime and his childhood, and removed it all, and did not allow that to happen. And Spirit showed us how to make the karmic less evil, and no attacks ever since. So apparently I was going to spend 10 minutes talking about that, and I'm going to go back to what I was talking about in the next video. Okay, continuing my talk about how to deal with a demon. I'm a little exasperated because I'm now recording this for the 4th time, and I'm hoping that it's going to save. It hasn't been saving, which means I've been saying something I'm not supposed to say. And I don't know what. And I could ask, but I'm being indignant instead. So let's see how far Spirit lets me get. The first part saved. Okay. The main point was about explaining the different ways, because the comment that was made on my original post was about, you just pray them away. Just call on Jesus and just pray them away. It is not that simple. The first, most simplest way I would say is that, and I don't think that it is actually even demons that you're dealing with when you are able to do that. There are different codes and rules with demons versus ghosts, and I am suspecting now that it's ghosts that you can pray away because they're simply not at rest. Call on Jesus, call on Archangel Michael, and they will be able to take them and cross them over, essentially. But with demons, if you are being attacked by a demon, there's a reason. It's part of your soul contract. It's part of your path for a reason. And that has to be figured out. And the core root of the issue of why you're being attacked has to be healed in order to stop it. Sorry, I got interrupted. Okay, so when it's a targeted attack, which a demonic attack, I believe, is usually going to be targeted for some reason. Even if it seems random, there is probably an underlying reason, like how I had the hex on us that had to be removed. So when that's the case, the demon is not just going to go away. Even if you think, oh, I'm just doing LSD, that's why I see demons and stuff. You're going through something in your life that there is some reason why you are experiencing this and are learning how to deal with it. Maybe you're supposed to help others in the future, and that's why you're learning how. But there is a reason. It's not random. Trust me. And if you don't know what the reason is now, you'll find out later. But the point is, when it's a targeted attack, which I am believing that demonic attacks usually are for whatever the original cause is, you can't just pray it away. You have to do something more than that. So that's where I come in and talk about containment or destruction. There are practitioners who contain them because that's the methods that they use, that they're familiar with, that they are capable of, and they are using a tabernacle of some type, more than likely made of gold, although there may be some other materials that are also strong enough to contain demons. And they are able to, using their witchcraft methods, get very close, capture them, and force them into the container. And some of them, I have heard of people burying them or burying the containers. I really don't like that, because someone just has to dig it up and open it, and out the demon comes again. This is why I don't like containment, because for one thing, the tabernacles are expensive. And for another thing, all you have to do is open it and out it comes. So what if it falls into the wrong hands, And like I said, the Vatican has storage facilities for contained demons, which I think is probably the best place to send them. I know there are issues with the Vatican also. There's corruption everywhere, but where else? I feel like the safest place is going to be the storage facilities at the Vatican. Okay, so then the next is destruction, which energy workers and energy healers use the destruction methods, which is not really destruction, but it's like transmutating the beings by consuming them with divine love energy and transmuting them and to the light and turning them back into source energy. And then they are not completely gone, but they at the very least are moved off planet, and basically source, God, decides what to do with them, but they're not here anymore. They're not destroying anymore. Now, I'm not a level 3 practitioner, so I can't tell you for sure. I have heard other things about how they do it, and it's always spirit instructed. Jesus and ascended masters of the light are always the ones giving instructions for how to handle these demons. And that I don't do that. I'm a level 1 practitioner. I can handle like ghosts and minor demons. And I know level 2 practitioners who are more similar to me. Level 3 practitioners are the ones who are using more materials and other methods that spirit instructs for how to do it. I know I say spirit. I always say spirit because it's the easiest way to say it, but Jesus, okay? Like, that was the thing that the person in the original comment was like, just call in Jesus. Well, that's who we're working with. Jesus is the one giving in the instructions. We have just learned how to communicate with him and work with him directly. He's not just like a being, someone you've heard of that you pray to. Like, we can actually interact with him. And he's the one giving the instructions for how to do this, along with other spiritual beings as well. So anyway, so I don't know the exact methods of the level 3 workers, but I know that that's essentially what they do. So then, aside from the containment and from the energy destruction and transmutation, the last method that I did not go on about because I didn't really think about it clearly last night was the exorcisms. But I did bring up that the Vatican has the exorcism divisions along with the storage facilities for the contained demons. And so I want to explain that too, so that it's not confusing, because exorcism is obviously not the same thing. And I'm not an exorcism expert either. I know a little bit. I had to deal with one in my case, but I did deal with 11 plus demons, but I only had one normal exorcism according to like what religion does. And it was because that particular demon was too powerful to be dealt with any other way. Like, the practitioner that I was working with at the time was one that normally uses containment, and she and her team were not powerful enough to contain this one. This demon was too powerful. In demonology, there are rankings, and he was a king, and kings are like the top generals closest to Satan. Satan Satan is not the name of the top demon. You realize that, right? Satan is more like saying like the president. It's the Satan, the top demon, and which demon is in the role of Satan depends. It was Lucifer for a long time, and then it was Beelzebub, and I participated in the removal of Beelzebub, so I don't know who's replaced him. But anyway, so the kings in demonology are the highest ranking, and they're the most powerful. And so this one was just too powerful. And so the traditional exorcism was done. The Vatican assisted. The Vatican brought in materials to assist with the exorcism, including the water from John the Baptist, which I thought was really amazing, and other resources to help. 100 people participated, and the Vatican has a recording of it as well. But in any case, what I have learned about exorcisms, I believe that there's going to be 2 reasons why exorcisms are done. It is either a priest handling it who doesn't know the other methods, and perhaps some of those demons could be contained or destroyed, transmutated instead. Or it's a demon that is so powerful that this is the only way to handle it. And with the exorcisms, this is also due to full-blown possession instead of attachments. That's also an important differentiation too. I should really talk about that also, but I'll do that in the next one, the last one. But yeah, so it's for full-blown possessions, and the demons are sent back to wherever they came from, which is going to be a hell world of some type. There's multiple hell worlds, so whichever one they came from. This one actually saved. So that's everything for the descriptions of the different ways of handling them. I'm just going to do one last video to explain the difference between entity attachments, demonic attachments, and full-blown possession, because that's also important, and people don't realize how much they are affected by attachments. Okay, I finally get to wrap up. Kind of makes me wonder if the reason why the previous video wouldn't save was because like evil was trying to stop it from saving instead of that I was saying something wrong. Excuse me, pretty much said the same things, but whatever. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is demonic attachments versus full-blown possession, because they are different. And attachments are very common, and that's why I want to talk about it so much. Something that people don't realize, like demonic attachments come to you like anytime you go through traumas. So people who have gone through significant traumas in their life, like, are almost guaranteed, and I shouldn't even say almost, I really think it is guaranteed, that they have entity attachments. I think that it's better to say entity because I don't think that they're all necessarily demons. There's different types of entities. Demons are one of them, but I'm using the terminology demonic attachments or demons so much because people understand that best. People don't necessarily understand when I say entity. So keep that in mind, okay? But there are different types of entities, and there are lesser entities, and there are more serious ones. Like the end of the last video, I was talking about the most powerful demons that exist, that are kings, that are generals, that are right up there with, Satan, and that are, commanding legions of demons. Those are much bigger deal and a much more dangerous to deal with. I do have experience with those. I have more experience with those than I have with the lesser ones, but that's with working with the level 3 practitioners. I can handle the lesser ones myself. So like I said, there's multiple different types of entities. Some of them are like elementals. Some of them are galactic too. Some of them are evil galactic beings or evil interdimensional beings, which is like evil aliens essentially. And then some of them are demons. And there's probably more. I know that there's more that I just don't even know what they're called. So we're going with the entity terminology, okay? So basically, when you go through traumas, any type of trauma, you know what? I have even seen people have traumas from, okay, so it's like not intentional, basically. So let me be clear. I have seen clients have abandonment wounds that came about from the death of a parent. The parent didn't choose to die. I'm not talking about suicides here. The parent didn't choose to die, but yet the person, the individual, still has that trauma wound and an abandonment wound from that. So that's what I mean by the traumas don't even have to be like from abuse being inflicted upon them. It can be from any just traumatic event, and death is a traumatic event too. So basically, you look at the population, look at everybody you know. Do you know anybody who has never been through anything traumatic ever? If that even exists, it's probably less than 1%. So essentially, everybody goes through traumas, and everybody has the potentiality of entity attachments due to that. The entities live off of fear, anger, depression, anxiety, and lower based energies, and they just come to people and attach to them and perpetuate those same feelings and perpetuate negative events happening in their lives. Now, I guess I would have to have this conversation with Spirit, with Jesus, but I guess that not everybody has them 100%, because I would honestly say that 99.99 whatever percentage of people have been through traumas. But I have had clients who have not had to have entity attachments removed from them personally. They've more so had to do them for their divine masculines. Or maybe those entity attachments just simply haven't been revealed yet. It hasn't been time. They have contracts too, so it hasn't been time to remove them. That's possible too. But in any case, I do think that the majority of people have these entity attachments. And honestly, they do serve a purpose also. That big sigh is because I really could just go on a long tangent about how the world works, what I have learned about how the world works. And I didn't learn this because I just like popped into my head or it's theory. Like, I learned this from experiences and from conversations with spirit and just coming to understand it. The way that Earth works, Earth has polarity and duality. We have good and evil, and this is not a planet where you are meant to just have an easy life and things are only good. Everything exists here, both the good and the bad. And the purpose of Earth and any 3D planet is in teaching lessons and going through experiences and experiencing soul growth. And you are supposed to go through bad things also. It is not meant to be an easy breezy life. You are supposed to go through both the good and the bad. And essentially, the entities are who and what guides the bad, and the angels are who and what guides the good. And that's part of their contracts. And that's just how it works. It's not something that a lot of people want to believe because they want to believe that God wouldn't do that, but that's not how Earth works. There are other worlds that are higher density worlds where it is supposed to be good all the time. But this is how it works. Souls are created and they go through soul growth and soul mastery processes on various planets and worlds. And when a soul is incarnated on a 3D world or planet, it's for the purpose of soul growth and expansion. And they are supposed to go through both good and bad events. And that's why both good and evil exist on 3D worlds. And that's why we're here. It feels a little bit like being in a petri dish, and being observed while you go through one event after another. But that's honestly the truth, and I know it to be spiritual fact because of the experiences that I've had and the conversations with spirit that I have had. Believe it if you want. In any case, going back to the entities. Okay, so going back to entities, and I want to wrap up here for good, but basically entities play this role in leading the world and each individual person down their soul path lessons that they are supposed to learn, the negative ones. But because of the interplay between soul will and free will, and because of people and these entities and beings like getting out of control in what they're doing and what they're causing, it can get worse. And for many, part of your journey and your process is learning how to get rid of these things. The attachments, the entity attachments might not be a full-blown, demonic attack, targeted attack like, what me and others have experienced, but they are still negative attachments that are causing negative things to happen to you in your life. And many times they do need to be removed. So some people may be able to heal and remove them just from awakening and doing shadow work and healing on their own. And then some other people need to hire help, need to get a healer or a practitioner to help them remove these things. But just understand the main purpose that I'm trying to convey here is understanding that they exist and that these are the different types of influence from negative spirits, whether demonic or other types of entities, that they attach to you. It's much less likely to be a possession. It's much more likely to be an attachment. And they might be serving a purpose on your soul path, but they do also need to be dealt with so that you can have a happier life. Like, that is your path to following your soul path, to having positive forward movement and progression. I took on the role, and as most divine feminines do, it's part of their soul contracts, to handle these major attacks for the divine masculine because they aren't aware of it. And so they clear the way for their twins, but not everybody does, and not everybody's a twin flame either. So the path to awakening and growth and healing is through recognizing these things and dealing with them appropriately as needed. Okay, so gosh, I could go on and on and on, but I don't have time, and don't want to talk forever, but hopefully this helps a lot of you learn something and start to get on the right